I plan missions to space, calculate every trajectory, manage every risk, run simulations until failure points disappear. But I couldn't see my own wife's escape plan launching right under my nose. She said, "I need space." I thought she meant therapy, maybe a weekend at her sister's, room to breathe after everything we'd been through. She meant astronaut training. And when her application landed on my desk at NASA, when I opened that folder and saw her name in the candidate pool for the program I was supposed to oversee, well, Houston, we had a problem, and it was me. Let me back up. It was a Tuesday evening, 7:38 p.m. I remember because I'm an engineer, we noticed timestamps. Lauren stood across from me in our kitchen in Clear Lake, Texas. Our house sits 2 miles from Johnson Space Center, close enough that you can see the training facilities from certain windows. Close enough that space is always present, always there, reminding you what's possible if you're willing to leave everything behind. She didn't cry, didn't raise her voice, just looked at me across our granite kitchen island, the one we picked out together 4 years ago, arguing good-naturedly about edge profiles and stone patterns, and said, "Chris, I need to reclaim my emotional bandwidth." Emotional bandwidth, like I was a software update draining her battery. "I think we need space," she continued, her voice steady, clinical. "Physical space, to process everything that's happened, the miscarriage, your promotion, Brandon's struggles at school. I feel like I'm disappearing into everyone else's needs, and I need to find myself again." I should have asked questions, should have pushed back, demanded specifics, asked what finding herself actually meant. But I didn't. You want to know why? Because I'm great at letting people leave. I said, "of course," in 12 seconds flat. Counted them. 12 seconds to agree to the dissolution of my marriage, or at least the trial run of it. Same response I gave Melissa, my ex-wife, Brandon's mom, when she asked for a divorce 8 years ago so she could accept a position on the International Space Station. See the pattern? I'm a gold medalist in emotional abandonment speedruns. When someone says they need to go, I hold the door open and wish them well. "Of course," I told Lauren. "Whatever you need. How long are you thinking?" 6 months, she said. "Maybe longer. I'll know when I'm ready." 6 months, half a year. Long enough to forget what someone's morning routine sounds like, what side of the bed they prefer, how they take their coffee. "I'll find you a place," I said, already running calculations. Rent, logistics, distance, not too far, not too close. Nearby, so it's not complicated with Brandon. She looked relieved, grateful even, gave me a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Thank you for understanding. This is why I love you, Chris. You always support me." That phrase, "you always support me." I've heard it before. Melissa said something similar right before she left, right before she chose the void of space over the chaos of our life together. And here's what I've learned. When someone thanks you for being supportive while they're walking away, they're not actually thanking you. They're apologizing in advance for what they're about to do. I found her an apartment within 3 days. 2-bedroom unit on Bay Area Boulevard, 2.3 miles from our house. $1,850 a month, 6-month lease, fully furnished. The landlord was happy to have a reliable tenant. NASA employees have good credit. The apartment had a balcony, nice view of Johnson Space Center from the 8th floor. You could see the training facilities, the research buildings, the cafeteria where astronauts and engineers grab lunch between simulations. Funny how that worked out. Lauren moved in on a Saturday. I helped her carry boxes, mostly clothes, books, her laptop, some kitchen supplies. Brandon spent the weekend with Melissa's parents in Austin, so he didn't have to witness his stepmom creating an exit strategy. We were protecting him, we said. No need to confuse him until we knew what this separation meant. "This is really nice," Lauren said, standing on the balcony, looking out at JSC. "Perfect, actually. Perfect." The word hung in the air between us. I kissed her forehead, a gesture that felt already like something from the past, and drove home alone. The house felt massive and empty. Brandon's room was dark. Our bedroom, singular again, felt wrong. I slept on the couch. For 3 weeks I held it together, told myself this was normal, healthy even. Couples need space sometimes. We were going through a rough patch. The miscarriage had been 4 months earlier, and we never really processed it together. I'd thrown myself into work. She'd grown quiet, distant. This separation was probably good for us. That's what I told myself. But here's the thing about being an engineer. We're trained to identify anomalies, patterns that don't fit, data points that suggest system failure. Week 3, I broke. I hired a private investigator. Gregory Miller, based out of Austin, $125 an hour, former military, specialized in domestic cases. I'm not proud of this. It felt like a violation, a breach of trust. But Lauren's behavior had shifted in ways I couldn't explain. She was always busy when I called, couldn't meet for dinner, said she was working on herself, whatever that meant. I thought she was having an affair. That's what you think, right? Wife asks for space, moves out, becomes unavailable. Classic signs. I was half right. It was a betrayal, just not the kind I expected. Gregory called me on a Thursday afternoon, week 3, day 19 of the separation. "Mr. Mitchell," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "I have some findings. No affair. But your wife is doing something unusual." Unusual how? She's spending significant time at Johnson Space Center, medical facilities. I have photos of her entering and exiting the astronaut health clinic, twice this week alone, and there's more. She's been photographed at the isolation chamber testing facility, the one they use for sensory deprivation training. My heart dropped into my stomach. "Gregory," I said slowly, "send me everything." The report arrived an hour later. 34 pages. Photos time-stamped, locations verified, patterns documented. Lauren wasn't having an affair. She was preparing to leave Earth. The photos showed everything. Lauren in medical scrubs entering the JSC Health Clinic. Lauren at the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, where astronauts train for spacewalks. Lauren outside Building 4, the one housing the psychological evaluation offices. Lauren climbing into a sensory deprivation chamber, the kind they use to test candidates' ability to handle isolation. This wasn't casual interest. This was preparation. Gregory's report included receipts. Lauren had spent $8,200 over the past 18 months on astronaut preparation courses, thus private training sessions, medical consultations not covered by insurance, psychological evaluations, all charged to our joint account. I had paid for my own betrayal. But here's what really gutted me. The timeline. 18 months. That meant she'd started this during our marriage counseling, during the months when we were supposedly working on our relationship after the miscarriage. Every Wednesday when she said she had yoga night, she was in a sensory deprivation chamber learning to live without me, literally practicing erasure. I sat in my home office, spreading the photos across my desk like evidence at a crime scene, which, in a way, they were. Evidence of premeditated abandonment. My laptop was open. I did something I'm not proud of. I accessed her email. We shared passwords, one of those couple things you do when you trust each other, when you think transparency equals intimacy. I know. Privacy violation. But she'd been living a secret life for a year and a half, so let's call it even. What I found made everything worse. There were emails, dozens of them, to someone named Melissa Grant, my ex-wife. Brandon's mother, the astronaut currently on her second tour aboard the International Space Station. The first email was dated 14 months ago. Subject line: "Advice from someone who chose." I clicked it open. My hands were shaking. Lauren had written, "Melissa, I hope this isn't weird. We've only met a few times, but I need advice from someone who's been in my position. I'm an aerospace engineer. I gave it up when Chris and I got married because his career took off and someone needed to be stable for Brandon. I don't regret it. I love that kid. But I look at the sky and I feel like I'm suffocating. How did you know it was time to choose?" Melissa's response came 2 days later. "Lauren, it's not weird at all. And I'm going to be brutally honest because no one was honest with me. Christopher is a good man. That's the problem. He'll be so supportive, so understanding that you'll feel guilty for wanting more. He doesn't control you. He supports you into staying, which is more dangerous. He'll optimize your decision-making process until you choose him every time. And then one day, you're 50, grounded, and you hate him for letting you give up your dreams." I read that line 3 times. Supports you into staying. She wasn't wrong. Lauren's reply: "I'm already feeling that. After the miscarriage, I mentioned wanting to go back to school, maybe get my astronautic certification. He said, 'Of course, whatever you need,' but then immediately started talking about timing, Brandon's school schedule, his promotion, how maybe we should wait until things settled down. Everything was logical, everything made sense, and somehow I ended up not doing it. Again, Melissa. That's his pattern. I lived it for 6 years. My advice, don't tell him until it's too late to talk you out of it. Apply to the program. Get through the screening. If you're selected, then tell him. By then it's a fait accompli. He can't optimize away something that's already decided. Lauren, that feels dishonest. Melissa, so is slowly disappearing. Trust me, I know. I chose space and I lost my marriage, but I kept myself. You'll have to make the same choice eventually. The question is whether you'll resent him when you do. The emails continued, Melissa coaching Lauren through the application process, advice on the physical training regimen, tips for the psychological screening, how to answer the family impact questions. They had even met in person 3 times, coffee at the Starbucks on NASA Parkway. I'd driven past that Starbucks 100 times. Might have even driven past while they were in there, plotting. My ex-wife was teaching my current wife how to leave me using the same playbook. The irony was so sharp it drew blood. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark. Tried to process the scale of this deception. Lauren hadn't been distant because of the miscarriage. She'd been distant because she was already gone, emotionally, already orbiting away from us while I stood on the ground, waving, thinking everything was fine. You want to know the worst part? A small, honest part of me understood. I'd done this to Melissa too. Not intentionally, but effectively. Always had a reason to delay her dreams. Always had a logical argument for not yet. And she'd stayed until the resentment turned toxic, until leaving was the only option that didn't destroy her. Now I was doing it to Lauren. Different woman, same pattern, same suffocation, dressed up as support. But understanding and forgiving are different things. And I wasn't anywhere close to forgiveness. That night, Brandon came home from school and stabbed his chicken nuggets with more force than necessary. He's 12, old enough to sense when adults are hiding things, young enough to say what he thinks without filter. Mom Lauren keeps asking me about Mom Melissa's job, he said, dragging a nugget through ketchup. Like, detailed stuff, radiation exposure, muscle atrophy, how often she gets to call home. Weird questions. I paused, fork halfway to my mouth. What kind of weird? I don't know. He shrugged, the universal gesture of preteen dismissiveness. She wanted to know if I was mad at Mom for going to space, if I felt abandoned, if I wished she'd stayed. He looked up at me. I told her the truth. Sometimes I do wish Mom had stayed, but mostly I think it's cool. Mom's doing something only like 500 people ever get to do. What did Lauren say to that? She got quiet. Then she said something about how hard it must be to choose between dreams and family. Asked if I'd be mad if she ever had to make a choice like that. He went back to his nuggets. I said I wouldn't be mad. I just want her to tell me the truth about it. My 12-year-old son had more emotional intelligence than both his parents combined. That's very mature of you, buddy, I said, my voice tight. Dad? He looked at me with those 2 knowing eyes. Is Mom Lauren going away like Mom Melissa did? I should have lied, should have protected him from the adult mess we were creating. But I was tired of lies. I don't know yet, I said, but if she does, it won't be because of you. You know that, right? He nodded, but his eyes said he didn't quite believe me. Kids always think it's their fault when adults leave. Brandon had already lived through one parent choosing space over him. Now he was watching it happen again, in slow motion. I tucked him in that night, sat on the edge of his bed longer than usual. Hey, Dad, he said as I was about to turn off his light. You know how Mom Melissa says being in space makes you see Earth differently, makes you realize how small everything is? Yeah, I think some people need that, need to go really far away to figure out what matters. He pulled his blanket up to his chin. But I think some people already know. They just don't trust it. Out of the mouths of babes. I went back to my office, opened a file I shouldn't have accessed, the NASA personnel database. Used my credentials, senior staff have elevated clearance, to search for pending astronaut applications. I found it. Application number 2349 of 18300 submitted this cycle. Name, Lauren Elizabeth Mitchell. Status, under review. Probability score, 85%. 85%. She was getting in. I opened her file. Should I have? No. Was it a breach of protocol? Absolutely. Did I do it anyway? You're damn right I did. Her test scores were exceptional. 96th percentile physical, 89th percentile psychological, 92nd percentile technical. She'd aced every screening. Her references were glowing. Her sister Ashley, her former college professor, her therapist. No reference from her husband. Spouse references are standard for married candidates. Shows family support, stability. But my name was nowhere in her application. The man who paid for her aerospace engineering degree wasn't even a footnote. I kept reading, found her personal essay, the one where candidates explain why they want to be astronauts, what drives them, what they're willing to sacrifice. Lauren's opened with a line that punched me in the throat. My marriage became my gravity, safe but suffocating. I read on, masochist that I am. I've spent the past 8 years in someone else's orbit. My husband is a brilliant engineer, a devoted father to his son, a steady presence. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being Lauren Mitchell, aerospace engineer with dreams of contributing to deep space exploration. I became Christopher's wife, Brandon's stepmom, the support system that keeps everyone else's trajectory stable while mine flatlines. After my miscarriage, I realized I was disappearing, not because anyone was erasing me, but because I had made myself small enough to fit into their lives without disrupting the carefully calculated paths they were on. I need to prove I exist outside of being someone's wife, someone's stepmother, someone's emotional support system. I need to prove it to myself. The essay went on, 3 pages of eloquent argument for why she deserved this, why she needed it, why it mattered. And here's the thing that destroyed me. She was right. Every word of it was true. I had made her small, not maliciously, not consciously. But every time she'd mentioned wanting more, wanting to go back to school, wanting to pursue her own projects, wanting anything beyond the domestic sphere we'd built, I'd had a logical reason why not now made sense. Brandon needed stability. My promotion required long hours. The house needed work. Her job at Space Tech Dynamics was good enough for now. Always for now. Always later. Always someday that never came. I'd optimized her ambitions out of existence, supported her into staying small, and now she was planning to break orbit without telling me. My desk phone rang. Internal line. I checked the caller ID, Dr. James Peterson, Director of Flight Crew Operations. Mitchell, I answered, my voice carefully neutral. Chris, congrats, he said, warmth in his tone. Just got approval from the board. You're being promoted to Mission Control Lead for the 2026 astronaut candidate class. Training starts June 1st. Youngest person to hold the position. Well done. My heart stopped. The 2026 class? I asked slowly. Yep. We're announcing the selected candidates March 15th. 12 astronauts, best crop we've had in years. You'll oversee their entire training cycle, simulations, evaluations, mission prep, everything. It's a massive responsibility, but you're ready. March 15th. The Ides of March. How poetic. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. I'm honored. You've earned it, Chris. Oh, and one more thing. I saw your wife submitted an application this cycle. Hell of a coincidence, huh? Small world at NASA. Yeah, I said, my voice hollow. Small world. I hung up, sat there in the dark, understanding dawning like a slow-motion collision. Lauren was applying to be an astronaut. I was being promoted to supervise astronaut training. If she got selected, and with an 85% probability she would, I would be her boss. I would oversee every simulation, evaluate every performance, approve every milestone on her journey away from me. We were on a collision course, and neither of us knew it yet. Well, I didn't know. Maybe she did. I spent the weekend running probability models, not for work, for my marriage, or the corpse of it anyway. If Lauren's application scored in the top 12 of 18,300 candidates, she'd be selected. Her scores put her at number 43 overall. They were selecting 12. The math was clear. Barring catastrophic interview failure, she was in, and I would be her supervisor. The irony wasn't lost on me. The universe has a sick sense of humor, or maybe it's poetic justice. I couldn't tell anymore. Monday morning, I got the call I'd been dreading. Chris, we need to meet. Dr. Peterson's voice was carefully neutral. Conference room, Building 1, 10 a.m., come alone. Building 1 houses administration, where policy gets made, where difficult conversations happen behind closed doors. I knew what this was about. The The conference room was sterile, white walls, long table, uncomfortable chairs designed to keep meetings short. Dr. Peterson sat at the head, flanked by Dr. Rebecca Foster, the NASA staff psychologist, and someone from HR, whose name I immediately forgot. "Chris, thank you for coming." Peterson slid a folder across the table. "We have a situation." I didn't reach for the folder. "Lauren's application. You've seen it? I'm her husband. I know she applied." Technically true, technically misleading. I wasn't going to admit I'd accessed her file through the personnel database. That was a fireable offense. Peterson nodded slowly. "Then you understand the conflict of interest. You're a mission control lead for her candidate class. You'd be evaluating your own wife's performance. That's problematic." Dr. Foster leaned forward. "NASA policy is clear in these situations. We have 3 options. You recuse yourself from the position, Lauren withdraws her application, or you both proceed with full disclosure and additional oversight." "What happens typically?" I asked. "Typically, the staff member recuses themselves," the HR rep said. "The personal relationship creates too much liability. Accusations of favoritism, or conversely, excessive scrutiny. It compromises the integrity of the training program." "But that's not the only option," Peterson said carefully. "If you both agree to proceed, we can implement safeguards, secondary evaluators on all of Lauren's assessments, third-party oversight, complete transparency with the rest of the cohort." I sat back, processing. "And if I don't recuse myself, then you'd be evaluating your wife's fitness for space travel while navigating a marital separation." Dr. Foster's voice was gentle but pointed. "Chris, I have to ask, is that something you can do objectively?" Objectively? What a word. Could I objectively assess the woman who'd been secretly planning to leave me for 18 months? The woman my ex-wife had coached in the art of abandonment? The woman who'd written in her essay that our marriage was suffocating her? "I can be objective," I said. Peterson exchanged a glance with Dr. Foster. "Chris, we're not questioning your professionalism, but this is unprecedented. I've been at NASA 32 years, never had a situation where a mission control lead spouse was in his candidate pool. So I'd be setting precedent," I said. "Either way." "Yes." He paused. "There's another consideration. Has Lauren been informed of your promotion?" "No, we've been not communicating much during the separation. So she doesn't know that if she's selected, you'll be overseeing her training." "Correct." Another loaded silence. "We'll need to inform her," the HR rep said. "She has a right to know before candidate announcements. This could factor into her decision to accept if she's offered a position." "When are announcements?" I asked, though I already knew. "March 15th, 6 weeks away." "I'll tell her myself," I said. Peterson shook his head. "Protocol requires official notification through proper channels. We'll schedule a meeting with both of you present, full disclosure of the conflict, review of options, documented decisions. And if we both choose to proceed, then we proceed." Peterson's expression was unreadable, with every safeguard in place. "But Chris, speaking not as your director, but as someone who's been in this business a long time, are you sure that's what you want? Working alongside your estranged wife for 2 years of intensive training? Watching her prepare to leave Earth while your marriage is ending? I thought about Melissa, about watching her train for the ISS while our divorce was finalized, about the particular torture of professional proximity during personal dissolution." "I'm sure," I lied. The meeting ended with handshakes and somber faces. They thought I was being noble, professional, mature. They didn't know I was already calculating angles, running scenarios, planning moves on a chessboard they couldn't see. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I went deeper into Lauren's application file, used my elevated clearance to access materials that technically weren't available yet. Interview transcripts, psych eval notes, medical history, the full email correspondence with her references. I needed to understand her completely, know her application inside and out. Because if I was going to oversee her training, I needed to know every vulnerability, every strength, every pressure point. I know how that sounds, I know, but she'd been studying me for 18 months, learning how to escape undetected, turnabout is fair play. Her medical file showed 5 visits to the astronaut health clinic over the past year, full workups, cardiovascular stress tests, bone density scans, vision screenings, neurological assessments, Everything came back excellent. She was in better shape than most career astronauts. The psych eval was more interesting. Dr. Foster had conducted it personally. Lauren had scored high on stress tolerance, emotional regulation, isolation's compatibility. But there were notes in the margins, observations that made me pause. Candidate displays high functional compartmentalization, able to maintain separate emotional domains without cross-contamination, excellent for long-duration missions requiring emotional stability. Query: does this extend to personal relationships? Follow-up assessment recommended. Compartmentalization: the ability to keep parts of your life sealed off from each other, to be one person at work, another at home, another in your secret training sessions, to live multiple lives simultaneously without the walls ever breaking down. Lauren had been compartmentalizing our entire marriage. I kept reading, found the reference letters. Ashley Turner, Lauren's sister, had written a glowing recommendation, called her brilliant, dedicated, resilient. But there was a line that caught my attention. Lauren has sacrificed significant personal ambitions to support her family. She deserves this opportunity to reclaim her professional identity. Sacrificed. As if I'd demanded it, as if I'd held her back deliberately. Maybe I had, not with demands, but with reasonable requests, with logical arguments, with supportive concern that always concluded with, maybe not right now. Her college professor's letter was standard, praised her academic record, her research potential, her technical aptitude. Nothing revelatory there. But then I found something that shouldn't have been in her file, a personal email exchange between Lauren and Ashley, dated 2 months ago. It had been accidentally included in Lauren's document submission, probably attached to the wrong PDF. I opened it. Ashley had written, "Lauren, you're doing to Christopher what Melissa did to him. You know that, right? The secrecy, the compartmentalization, the escape plan. This is going to destroy him." Lauren's reply, "I can't keep being small, Ash. I can't keep fitting myself into the corners of other people's lives. I'm suffocating. If I tell him now, he'll talk me out of it. He'll be supportive and understanding, and I'll end up staying and resenting him forever. At least this way, when it's real, when I'm actually selected, he'll have to accept it. It'll be too late to optimize away." Ashley, "But it's cruel. You're married to him. He deserves honesty." Lauren, "He deserves a wife who isn't disappearing. I can't be that for him anymore. I tried. I really tried. But every time I look at the sky, I feel like I'm dying." I read that last line 3 times. Every time I look at the sky, I feel like I'm dying. She wasn't wrong to want this. She wasn't wrong to need more than what we had, but she was wrong to lie about it. Wrong to let me believe we were working on our marriage when she'd already planned her exit. Or was she? Had I given her any reason to believe I'd support this? Be honest, Chris. When had I ever said, "Tell me your biggest dream and I'll help you chase it, even if it means we fall apart"? Never. Not once. I'd always had a more immediate crisis to solve. Always had a logical reason to postpone her ambitions. And she'd learned, over 8 years, that telling me what she wanted resulted in supportive delay. Indefinite postponement dressed up as thoughtful consideration. So, she stopped telling me. And now I was angry at her for the silence I'd trained into her. My phone buzzed. Text from Gregory, my Bahiai. Update. Found something interesting. Your wife has been meeting regularly with someone at NASA, not medical staff. Astronaut, active duty, want details? I knew who it was before I even asked. Melissa Grant? Confirmed. 3 in-person meetings over past 6 months. Most recent, last Tuesday, 3 p.m., Building 4 cafeteria. Duration, 47 minutes. Photos attached. Wait, 47 minutes. I paused. No, I couldn't use that number. Let me recalculate. Gregory's timestamp must have been approximate. The meeting was probably 45 or 50 minutes. I'd go with 50 in my mental timeline. 50 minutes. Long enough for detailed coaching, for strategy sessions, for my ex-wife to teach my current wife the playbook. I opened the photos. There they were. Lauren and Melissa, heads together over coffee, laptops open, papers spread across the table, Melissa pointing at something on a screen, Lauren taking notes. 2 women united in the shared goal of escaping Christopher Mitchell's gravitational pull. The cafe was visible through the window behind them. I recognized it. I ate there twice a week. Could have walked past them. Could have seen this betrayal unfolding in real time and not even known. I forwarded the photos to my personal email. evidence, documentation, proof. Then I found Brandon's Google Drive folder, shared family account. I had access to all his school files, homework, projects, essays. There was a document titled My Hero Draft, date modified 3 days ago. I opened it. The assignment was from his 5th grade English class. Write about someone you admire and explain why they're your hero. Brandon had written about Melissa. My hero is my mom, Melissa Grant. She's an astronaut on the International Space Station. She lives in space for 6 months at a time, which is really cool, but also really hard. She can't come to my soccer games or my birthday parties or Christmas, but she's doing something only 500 people in history have ever done. My stepmom Lauren asks me about my mom a lot. She wants to know what it's like having a mom in space, if I'm mad that she left, if I wish she'd stayed on Earth. I told her sometimes I do wish Mom had stayed, but mostly I think it's cool. Lauren said she understands wanting to do something important, even if it means leaving people behind. She said sometimes people have to choose between their dreams and their family, and both choices are hard. I don't know who I'll write about next year for this assignment. Maybe Lauren, maybe Dad, maybe I'll just write about our dog. At the bottom, his teacher had commented in red, Brandon, this is thoughtful, but I sense some sadness here. Please see me after class so we can talk. Even his teacher saw it, the pattern repeating, the child bracing for another abandonment. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark of my office, thought about Brandon's essay, about Lauren's application, about Melissa's coaching, about the collision course we were all on. And I made a decision. If Lauren wanted space, I'd give it to her, all 254 miles of it, but on my terms. I opened my laptop and started typing. Not an email, not a message, a letter, a recommendation letter for candidate F2 at turn 49, Lauren Elizabeth Mitchell, written by her supervisor-to-be, Christopher James Mitchell, Mission Control Lead. I was going to write her the best recommendation NASA had ever seen, and she was going to hate me for it. The cursor blinked on the blank document. 2 a.m., glass of whiskey on my desk. I'm not a drinker, but this moment required something to mark it. The ice clinked as I lifted the glass, took a sip, set it down. To whom it may concern, I typed, then deleted it. Too formal, too distant. Dear Selection Committee, I tried instead. Better. My fingers hovered over the keys. This had to be perfect. Every word had to work on 2 levels. NASA would read brilliance and enthusiasm. Lauren would read something else entirely, a message encrypted in plain sight. I started writing. I write to offer my strongest possible recommendation for candidate Lauren Elizabeth Mitchell for the 2026 NASA astronaut program. In my capacity as Mission Control Lead, I have had the opportunity to observe Mrs. Mitchell's preparation and dedication to this goal, and I can state without reservation that she possesses the qualities necessary for exceptional service. True statement. I had observed her preparation. For 18 months, through a private investigator and unauthorized file access, but observed nonetheless. Mrs. Mitchell demonstrates exceptional compartmentalization skills, a critical asset for long-duration missions requiring emotional stability under isolation. She has shown a remarkable ability to pursue long-term objectives without emotional interference, maintaining focus on her goals despite personal circumstances that might derail less committed candidates. Translation. She's been lying to me for 1.5 years without flinching. She can keep secrets like a professional spy, perfect for space, terrible for marriage. I took another sip of whiskey, kept typing. Her psychological profile suggests an ideal candidate for prolonged separation from terrestrial support systems. Mrs. Mitchell has demonstrated that she can function independently, making complex decisions without requiring external validation or emotional reassurance. This self-sufficiency will serve her well during missions where Earth-based support is limited. Translation: she doesn't need me. She's been proving that for months. She's practiced being alone while still technically being married. She's ready to cut the tether. The words flowed now, each sentence a knife wrapped in a compliment. I have observed Mrs. Mitchell's ability to maintain professional composure while navigating significant personal transitions. Her capacity to separate emotional complexity from mission-critical decision-making is remarkable. She does not allow personal relationships to compromise her professional objectives. Translation: our marriage ending doesn't even slow her down. I'm a footnote in her trajectory calculations. Mrs. Mitchell's commitment to this program is absolute. She has invested considerable personal resources, time, finances, emotional energy into preparation. I cannot imagine a candidate more willing to sacrifice personal connections for mission success. Her dedication is not casual or tentative. It is total. There it was. The core message. She's already gone. She's been willing to sacrifice us from the beginning. This isn't a hard choice for her. It's the only choice she's been planning toward. I leaned back, read what I'd written. It was perfect. NASA would read it as the most enthusiastic endorsement possible. A spouse supporting his wife's incredible opportunity. A supervisor recognizing exceptional talent. Lauren would read it and know. I knew everything. Every meeting with Melissa, every lie about yoga night, every compartmentalized secret. And I was helping her go anyway, because that's what I do. I support people into leaving me. But this time, I'd make sure she understood the cost. I finished the letter with a closing paragraph that would haunt both of us. In conclusion, I recommend Mrs. Mitchell without reservation. She represents the future of human space exploration, individuals willing to push beyond conventional boundaries, to sacrifice comfort for discovery, to choose the unknown over the familiar. If selected, she will excel. She has already proven she can leave everything behind in pursuit of her objectives. Space exploration requires exactly that willingness. I am confident that NASA will find no more dedicated candidate in this or any other selection cycle. I signed it. Christopher James Mitchell, Mission Control Lead. Attached it to her personnel file. Clicked send. The email whooshed into the void. Irreversible, like a rocket launch. Once you hit go, physics takes over. No calling it back. I finished the whiskey, went upstairs, didn't sleep. 2 weeks later, Dr. Rebecca Foster called me into her office. Building 4, second floor, the counseling suite where astronauts go for some mandatory psychological check-ins. "Chris, sit down." Her voice had that careful neutrality that meant trouble. I sat. "I reviewed your recommendation letter for Lauren Mitchell." She folded her hands on her desk. "It's the most supportive letter I've ever read. Thank you." "And the saddest." Silence. "Chris, I'm required to conduct family impact assessments for all married candidates. I need to interview both you and Lauren, separately and together." She pulled out a form. "Standard protocol. We need to ensure the family system can withstand the demands of the program." "Of course." "The questions are straightforward. Does your spouse support your application? Do you have a plan for managing the separation during training? How will this affect any children in the household?" She paused. "But I'm going to ask you something off the record first. Are you okay?" "Define okay." "Chris." Her voice softened. "I've been doing this job for 16 years. I've seen astronauts lose marriages, seen families fracture under the pressure of this work. Your letter is technically perfect, professionally glowing. But between the lines," she trailed off. "What do you read between the lines?" "Pain, anger, and something that worries me. A kind of cold precision that suggests you're treating this like a mission problem to solve, rather than a relationship to save." She wasn't wrong. "You're not my therapist," I said carefully. "You're assessing Lauren's fitness for the program. I'm assessing the system. Marriage is a system. When one component is under extreme stress, it affects mission readiness." She leaned forward. "Does Lauren know you wrote this letter?" "She will soon enough." "Does she know how you really feel about her application?" "I recommended her without reservation. That's how I feel." Dr. Foster studied me for a long moment. "Chris, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I see. You're giving her exactly what she asked for in a way that ensures she'll never forgive you for it. That's not support. That's strategic punishment." "Is there a question in there?" She sighed. "The formal question is, do you support your spouse's application to the astronaut program?" "Yes." "Without reservation?" "Read my letter. I think I was clear." She made a note. "I'll schedule Lauren's interview for next week. Then we'll do a joint session before selection announcements." Looking forward to it. I wasn't. March 15th arrived like an execution date. The Ides of March. Beware. NASA made the announcement at noon via live stream. Administrator at a podium, American flag in the background, usual ceremony. 12 names from 18,300 applicants. I watched from my office at Mission Control. Door closed, phone silenced. The administrator read the names alphabetically by last name. Emily Chen, not her. David Harrison, not yet. Robert Jenkins, come on. Lauren Mitchell. There it was, number 7 of 12. My wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, was an astronaut. My phone exploded with texts, colleagues congratulating me, friends saying how proud I must be, my mother calling, ecstatic, asking when we were celebrating. I ignored them all, waited. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. Lauren's number. I answered. Chris. Her voice was breathless, crying, joyful, more emotion than I'd heard from her in months. Chris, I did it. I actually did it. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be an astronaut. Congratulations, I said. My voice was steady, empty. You earned it, Lauren, every bit of it. I know we're separated. I know things are complicated, but I wanted you to be one of the first people I told. You understand what this means. You know how hard this is. She was talking fast, words tumbling over each other. Chris, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you I was applying. I was scared. I thought you'd talk me out of it, or I don't know. I was wrong to hide it. But now it's real, and thank you. Thank you for not standing in my way. Standing in her way. As if that's what she'd expected. As if I were an obstacle to route around. Lauren, there's something you should know. What? I was promoted to Mission Control Lead. I'll be overseeing your training, all of it. Simulations, evaluations, mission prep. For the next 2 years, you'll report to me. Long silence. What? I'll be your supervisor. NASA tried to figure out the conflict of interest. I chose not to recuse myself. I let that sink in. So congratulations, you got your dream, and I get a front row seat to watch you prepare to leave Earth. It'll be just like watching Melissa train, except this time I'm in charge of the evaluations. Chris, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I know, neither of us knew. Funny how these things work out. Another silence. I could hear her breathing, processing, recalculating. What does this mean? She asked finally. It means we have decisions to make. Can you come over tonight? Our house, 7 p.m. We need to talk. Okay, yes, I'll be there. I hung up, spent the afternoon preparing, printed 2 documents, put them in separate envelopes, one white, one NASA blue. Set them on the kitchen island, the same granite surface where she'd asked for space 3 months ago. Full circle. Lauren arrived at 7 exactly. She looked different, lighter somehow, like gravity had already loosened its grip, the weight of secrecy gone. She was glowing with achievement. It made what I was about to do almost unbearable. Almost. Chris. She stood in the doorway like a visitor, not someone who'd lived here for 8 years. Thank you for seeing me. I know I owe you an explanation. A real one. I should have told you from the beginning. It doesn't matter now, I said, cutting her off. I gestured to the island. Sit. She sat. I stood across from her, the island between us like a negotiating table. Placed my hands on either side of the 2 envelopes. Lauren, I'm going to give you a choice, a real one. Maybe the first honest choice we've had in years. I slid the white envelope toward her. This contains divorce papers. I've already signed them. My lawyer has reviewed them. Standard no-fault dissolution. Split assets evenly. Joint custody of Brandon when he's with us. Though you'll be in training, so that's mostly theoretical. You open this, our marriage ends tonight. Clean break. Her eyes widened. I slid the NASA blue envelope toward her. This contains a formal letter declining your astronaut position. It's addressed to Dr. Peterson. Cites personal circumstances, family obligations. I'll sign it as a witness. You can submit it tomorrow. NASA will understand. They always have alternates. Chris, let me finish. My voice was calm, surgical. You open the white envelope, choose divorce. You go to space. Live your dream. Become who you were always meant to be. I'll facilitate your training. I'll be professional. Brandon will be fine. He's survived 1 parent leaving for space. He'll survive 2. I pulled out a lighter, flicked it on. The flame danced between us. You open the blue envelope, decline the position. We try to fix this marriage. Counseling, communication, actually talking about dreams instead of hiding them. Maybe we make it work, maybe we don't, but we try. I held the lighter over the white envelope. You have 60 seconds to choose. You open one, I burn the other, right here, right now. And Lauren? I met her eyes. There's no third option where you get both me and space. Choose. I started counting. 60, 59, 58. Her hand hovered between the envelopes, trembling. 45. Her hand moved toward the blue envelope, the decline letter. I felt something in my chest, hope, relief. I didn't know anymore. 30. Then her hand stopped, hovered, pulled back. 20. She looked at me, really looked at me. Her eyes were wet but clear. Chris, this isn't fair. You're making me choose between what you want and what you think you should want. Yeah, that's the choice. Welcome to clarity. 15. I love you, she whispered. I know. That's not what I asked. 10 seconds, Lauren. 5. Her hand shot out, grabbed the white envelope, the divorce papers. She didn't open it, just held it against her chest, shoulders shaking, silent tears streaming down her face. I picked up the lighter, held it to the NASA blue envelope, watched the corner catch fire. The paper curled, blackened, dissolved. The smell of burning official stationery filled our kitchen, acrid, final, like burning a future, which I suppose it was. I let the ashes fall into the sink, turned on the water, watched them swirl down the drain. Congratulations, I said quietly. You chose honestly, maybe for the first time in 18 months. Chris, you should go. You have orientation at JSC tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Building 4. Don't be late. I turned away, gripped the edge of the sink. I'll have my lawyer contact you about finalizing the paperwork. We'll need to tell Brandon together, this weekend maybe. Give him time to process before training starts. I didn't want it to be like this. I laughed. It came out bitter, broken. Yes, you did. You wanted exactly this. You wanted me to make it impossible for you to stay so you wouldn't feel guilty for leaving. Congratulations, Lauren. I gave you what you needed. She set the envelope down on the island, stood there for a moment, waiting for something. Forgiveness, maybe. Or absolution. I had neither to offer. For what it's worth, she said, voice barely audible. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Me too. She left. The door closed with a soft click. I stood at the sink, staring at the ash residue, the burnt edges of her declined dream that became her accepted future by virtue of elimination. I'd given her exactly what she wanted. Why did it feel like I'd lost? Training began June 1st, 2 months after the divorce finalized, 3 months after she'd chosen space over me. We'd told Brandon together, sitting in his room, both of us on the edge of his bed like we were delivering news of a death. Which, in a way, we were. Buddy, I'd started, you know how Mom Lauren got accepted to be an astronaut? He'd nodded, face carefully neutral. 12 years old and already an expert in bracing for abandonment. Well, that means she'll be training for the next 2 years, living at NASA facilities a lot. And Dad and I decided it's better if we're not married anymore. We're getting divorced. Brandon had looked between us. Like you and Mom Melissa? Yeah, like that. Is it because of space again? Lauren had flinched. I'd felt a savage satisfaction at that. It's because grown-ups are complicated, I'd said. But this isn't about you. You know that, right? Both of us love you. That doesn't change. He'd nodded again, not convinced, just compliant. Can I be alone for a while? We'd left him there, closed the door, stood in the hallway, avoiding each other's eyes. He's going to be okay, Lauren had said, trying to convince herself. Sure, I'd replied. Kids are resilient. That's what everyone says. Now it was June and training had begun and Brandon's resilience was being tested daily. The astronaut candidates, Lauren's class of 12, moved into crew quarters at JSC for the intensive first phase. 6 months of back-to-back simulations, physical conditioning, technical training. They lived and breathed NASA. And I supervised all of it. My office overlooked the main training floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. I could see every simulation chamber, every training module, every candidate as they pushed through the program designed to break the weak and forge the strong. I watched Lauren climb into the multi-axis trainer, the brutal spinning device that simulates tumbling spacecraft. Watched her spend 12 hours in a pressure suit, solving mechanical failures. Watched her dive into the neutral buoyancy lab for underwater spacewalk training. Watched her excel at everything. Every evaluation crossed my desk. I reviewed them with meticulous care, added my own observations, signed off on her progress. Always professional, always objective, always aware of the dozen other eyes watching for bias. We barely spoke. When we did, it was clinical. Good work on the emergency egress drill. Your oxygen management needs improvement. See you at the debrief at 1400. We were strangers who'd once shared a bed. Now we shared an institution, a mission, a painful proximity without intimacy. The other candidates knew, of course. Impossible to hide. Lauren Mitchell and Christopher Mitchell, same last name, different rings fingers, empty. The gossip was inevitable. Some of them pitied her, having to train under your ex-husband's supervision. Some pitied me, watching your ex-wife prepare to leave the planet. Some thought it was the most professional thing they'd ever seen. Some thought it was toxic as hell. They were all right. 3 months into training, I stood at the control board running a capsule malfunction simulation. Lauren and 2 other candidates sealed inside a mock crew module, my voice over the intercom. Pressure drop in main cabin. CO2 scrubbers failing. You have 8 minutes to stabilize or abort. Through the monitor, I watched her work. Calm, efficient, exactly the compartmentalization Dr. Foster had noted. She delegated tasks, troubleshot the failure, rerouted the life support system, fixed the problem with 90 seconds to spare. Well done, Mitchell, I said into the comm. Textbook execution. Thank you, Control, she replied, her voice flat, professional. No indication we'd once promised to love each other until death parted us. Turned out space parted us first. After the simulation, I filed my evaluation. Candidate Mitchell demonstrates exceptional performance under pressure. Recommend for advanced emergency protocols training. I signed it, sent it up the chain, added another brick to the wall she was building between herself and Earth, between herself and me. September brought parent-teacher conferences. Brandon was in 6th grade now, doing fine academically but emotionally distant, according to his teacher, Ms. Patterson. He's withdrawn, she'd told me over Zoom. COVID protocols still lingering in schools. Not disruptive, just absent. Like he's here but not here. Does that make sense? It made perfect sense. He was learning the family trade. Compartmentalization. There's something else, Ms. Patterson continued. He wrote an essay for his career day project about his family's jobs. I think you should read it. She'd shared it via email. I had opened it that night. The title, My 2 Moms in Space. I'd felt my stomach drop before I'd even read the first line. Brandon had written, I have 3 parents, but only one of them stays on Earth. Mom Melissa is an astronaut on the International Space Station. She's been there for 4 months. She'll be there for 2 more months. That's her 2nd time going to space. The first time was when I was 4 years old. I don't remember much about it except Dad being sad a lot. Mom Lauren is training to be an astronaut. She's at NASA every day learning how to live in space. She moved out of our house to focus on training. She'll probably go to space in 2 or 3 years, maybe longer. It depends on mission assignments. Dad makes sure people get to space safely. He works at Mission Control at NASA. He supervises astronaut training. He also supervised Mom Lauren's training, even though they got divorced. I don't really understand how that works, but everyone says he's being very professional about it. I'm the only person in my family who wants to stay on Earth. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the weird one, or maybe I'm adopted, and that's why I don't have the space gene. Dad says I'm not adopted, but sometimes I'm not sure. For Career Day, I'm supposed to talk about why my family's jobs are important. I think space exploration is important because it helps us understand the universe and maybe find new places to live when Earth gets too crowded or polluted. I think astronauts are brave and smart, and I'm proud that both my moms do important work. But I also think someone should stay on Earth. Someone should be here to remember what it was like before everyone left. I guess that's my job. I'd read it 3 times. Each time hit harder. Ms. Patterson's note at the bottom. Brandon, this is beautifully written and very honest. I'd like to talk with you about some of the feelings you're expressing here. Please see me after class. Also, Would you be willing to present this for our school's virtual career day? We have parents joining via Zoom. I think your perspective would be meaningful for other students with non-traditional families." Brandon had agreed, which is how I found myself on a Wednesday afternoon, logged into a Zoom call for Riverside Elementary's 6th grade career day, watching my son present his essay to his class. The screen was split into boxes, 26 6th graders in one grid, parents and guests in another, and in the guest section, 3 boxes that made my chest tight. Bottom left, me from my NASA office. Top right, Lauren from the astronaut training facility. Top far right, Melissa from the International Space Station. She was in a sleep compartment, floating, tethered so she wouldn't drift. Earth visible through the window behind her, blue and impossibly beautiful. Brandon's face filled the main screen as he read his essay aloud. His voice was steady but small. When he got to the line about being the only one who wanted to stay on Earth, I saw Lauren's hand cover her mouth in her box. When he wondered if he was adopted, Melissa's expression crumpled. When he talked about someone needing to remember Earth, I felt something break inside my chest. Some structural component I didn't know was load-bearing. Brandon finished reading, looked directly at the camera. "Any questions?" Silence. The kind of silence that meant everyone had questions, but no one knew how to ask them. Finally, a girl named Sophie raised her virtual hand. "Do you miss your moms when they're in space?" "Yeah," Brandon said simply. "A lot." Another kid. "Does your dad miss them too?" Brandon looked at something off camera, probably me in my little Zoom box. "I think so. He doesn't say it, but sometimes I hear him talking to Mom Melissa when she calls from space. He sounds sad." Lauren's box showed her crying now. Silent tears, hand still over her mouth. Then Melissa unmuted herself. Her voice had that slight radio crackle of ISS communications. "Brandon, buddy, can I say something?" "Sure, Mom." "I want you to know," her voice caught. She cleared her throat. "I want you to know that you're not weird for wanting to stay on Earth. You're not the broken one. We are. Me, Lauren, even your dad. We're really, really bad at gravity." The phrase hung in the digital air. Bad at gravity. Brandon tilted his head. "What does that mean?" "It means..." Melissa looked away from the camera, out at Earth through her window. "It means some people don't know how to stay grounded, don't know how to be present. We're so busy looking up, looking away, looking for what's next that we forget to see what's right in front of us. And what's right in front of us, what was always right in front of us, was you, and we've been terrible at seeing that." Lauren unmuted. "Brandon, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I made you feel like..." "I gotta go," Brandon said abruptly. "Thanks everyone for listening." He closed his laptop. The Zoom call continued for a few seconds in chaos. Kids talking over each other, teacher trying to restore order, parents in boxes looking uncomfortable. I closed my laptop too, sat in my office staring at nothing, bad at gravity. That night, Melissa called me directly. Private line, not the public ISS communication system. "Chris," she said without preamble, "we need to talk about what you're doing." "I'm not doing anything. I'm supervising..." "Bullshit. You're recreating our divorce, making Lauren live through exactly what I lived through, and you're using your position to do it." I recommended her without reservation. I've been nothing but professional. You wrote her the most supportive letter ever written and made sure she'd know it was a weapon. You gave her an impossible choice, knowing which one she'd pick. And now you're watching her train, evaluating her, being present for every moment of her preparation to leave, forcing her to see you see her leave. Chris, that's not professional, that's sadistic. She lied to me for 18 months. And you ignored her for 8 years. Melissa's voice cracked with frustration. I've been watching this from 250 miles up, and even I can see it. You did to her what you did to me. You were so supportive, so reasonable, that we felt guilty for wanting anything you didn't pre-approve. And when we finally broke free, you made us villains for it. I never stopped you from going to space. No, you just made sure I'd hate myself for choosing it. Silence. Chris, listen to me. You're doing to Lauren exactly what I did to you, and to Brandon. You're choosing pride over presence. You're so busy proving a point that you're missing what matters. And what's that? Brandon, that kid just told a classroom full of people that he's the only one who wants to stay on Earth. He thinks he's broken because he doesn't want to leave. We did that to him, all 3 of us. And You're about to do it again. What am I supposed to do? She chose space. The divorce is final. You could let her go without making her suffer for it. You could step down from supervising her training. You could stop punishing her for the same crime you committed, wanting something more than what you had. I had no answer for that. Chris, Melissa said, softer now, I called you from space to tell you something I should have said 8 years ago. I was wrong. Not wrong to go to space. Wrong to sacrifice Brandon for it. Wrong to let work become more important than presence. And you're about to make the same mistake. You won. You proved your point. Lauren chose her dream over her marriage, just like I did. But look at the scoreboard. Brandon's alone on Earth while 3 adults chase stars. She paused. I could hear the hum of ISS life support in the background, the gentle whoosh of recycled air keeping her alive in the void. You think you're the victim here? She continued. But you're not. Neither is Lauren. Neither am I. Brandon is. He's the only innocent in this whole mess. And if you don't figure that out soon, he's going to write another essay in 10 years. And it won't be about heroes. It'll be about the 3 people who were too busy looking up to notice he was drowning. She hung up. I sat there in the dark, her words echoing. Bad at gravity. All of us. Falling and calling it flying. 6 months later. December 2026. The holidays approached with the weight of obligation. Brandon would spend Christmas with me, New Year's with Melissa's parents in Austin. Lauren would spend both in quarantine, T-minus 3 weeks to launch. She'd been assigned to a mission, Artemis 4, Lunar Orbital Station Assembly. 6 months in space, most of it in lunar orbit, helping build humanity's next off-world home. Historic mission, career-defining opportunity. Everything she'd sacrificed for. The quarantine protocols were strict. 3 weeks of medical isolation before launch to prevent any illness from compromising the mission. Lauren was in the crew quarters, sealed away from Earth already, practicing the separation. I was at my desk when my phone rang. Brandon's cell. It was 8 p.m., past his usual bedtime on a school night. Dad, Mom Lauren's calling. Can you pick up the extension? I want you to hear this. My hand hesitated over the phone. Buddy, that's between you and... Please, Dad, just listen. Don't say anything, just listen. I picked up the extension in my office, muted my line, listened. Brandon? Lauren's voice came through, slightly distorted by the quarantine facility's phone system. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? I'm okay. His voice was careful, guarded. School's fine. Dad took me to see the new Spider-Man movie yesterday. That's great. I'm sorry I couldn't come. I'm sorry I'm going to miss Christmas. And your birthday in January and... She trailed off. A lot of things. It's okay. You're doing important work. God, the way he said that. Like he'd rehearsed it. Like he was performing the role of the understanding child because he'd learned that's what adults needed to hear. Brandon, I need you to know something. Lauren's voice cracked. I think about you every single day. When I'm up there on the station, I'm going to think about you constantly. I'm going to miss you so much. Silence. Long enough that I thought the connection had dropped. Then Brandon, quiet. That's what Dad said Mom Melissa told him before her first mission. I'll think about you every day. And then she didn't. Or if she did, it didn't matter because she wasn't here. I heard Lauren's sharp intake of breath. Brandon, will you come back? He asked. Mom, Melissa came back, but then she left again. Will you do that too? Keep leaving? I don't know, Lauren said. And I had to give her credit. She was honest. I don't know what happens after this mission. There might be another one, and another. This is my career now, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean you're not important. Just not important enough to stay for. The words hit like a physical blow. I closed my eyes, hand over my mouth, trying not to make a sound. That's not fair, Lauren whispered. Isn't it? Brandon's voice was older than 12. You chose this. Mom Melissa chose this. Dad chose to let you both go. Everyone chose something except me. I'm just the kid who has to be okay with everyone leaving. Brandon, I gotta go. I have homework. Good luck with the launch, Mom Lauren. I hope you find what you're looking for up there. He hung up. I sat in the dark, listening to the dial tone, my heart breaking for my son who'd learned too young that love and presence aren't the same thing. Lauren was still on the line. I could hear her breathing, ragged, broken. I should have hung up. Should have given her privacy for her grief. Instead, I unmuted. Lauren? Chris, she gasped. Were you listening the whole time? Brandon asked me to. Oh God, she was crying now, full sobs. Chris, what have we done? What have I done? He thinks we don't love him enough to stay. Do we? That's not fair. You just said that to him. Didn't like hearing it, did you? Silence. Chris, she said finally, voice raw. Was I wrong? Tell me honestly. Was I wrong to choose this? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to make her the villain, cement her as the one who destroyed our family for selfish ambition. Wanted the moral clarity of righteous anger. But I couldn't. No, I said quietly. You weren't wrong to want this. You were wrong to hide it. And I was wrong to make you feel like you had to. What? I found something last week. Old therapy recordings. From our sessions with Dr. Santos, before the separation, before I knew about your application. I paused. Want to know what I learned? Chris, you tried to tell me. 12 times over 18 months. You brought up your dreams, your career, what you wanted, and every single time, I had a reason why not now made sense. Brandon's school schedule, my promotion, the house needing work, the miscarriage recovery, always logical, always reasonable, always later. I pulled up the audio file on my laptop, clicked play, put the phone on speaker. Dr. Santos's voice tinny through the recording. Lauren, what do you need from Christopher? Lauren's voice, younger, hopeful. I need him to ask me about my dreams, not just acknowledge them when I bring them up. Actually ask. Show me that my ambitions matter as much as his. My voice on the tape. Of course they matter, but right now, with everything going on, Brandon struggling with math, I'm swamped with the mission prep for Artemis 2. We're dealing with the miscarriage fallout. Maybe we should table the career discussion until things settle down. Dr. Santos. Christopher, what do you hear yourself saying? My recorded voice. That we need to prioritize stability, one thing at a time. Dr. Santos. And Lauren, what do you hear? Lauren's voice, defeated. That my dreams are always one thing too many. I stopped the recording. There are 11 more conversations like that. 11 more times I optimized your ambitions away. You didn't hide your dreams from me, Lauren. I trained you not to tell me. She was crying again. Chris, I still should have... We both failed, I said. You failed by lying. I failed by never listening. And now Brandon's paying the price for both our failures. What do we do? I don't know. You launch in 3 weeks. I'll be at mission control. Irony of ironies, I'll be the one to press go on your escape. And Brandon will watch from the viewing area, losing another parent to the sky. I rubbed my eyes. We don't get to fix this, Lauren. We just get to live with it. I love him. I love you. I know that doesn't... Love isn't the question. It never was. The question is, what are we willing to sacrifice for what we love? And we both answered that already. I hung up. Sat there in the silence of my office, surrounded by mission plans and training schedules, and the architecture of our elaborate mutual destruction. January 8th, 2027. Launch day. The sky was clear. Perfect conditions, not a cloud, no wind complications, all systems green. The universe was cooperating with humanity's ambition. I stood at mission control, headset on, screens glowing with telemetry data. My role was supervisory. I wasn't running the launch sequence, but I was overseeing the team that was. Final sign-off authority. If anything went wrong, if any parameter fell outside acceptable range, I could abort. I could keep her on Earth. Through the window, I could see the viewing area. Rows of seats filled with families, press, NASA officials. I spotted Ashley, Lauren's sister, sitting with Brandon. He was wearing the NASA jacket I'd given him for Christmas. Looked small in it. Looked small in general, dwarfed by the enormity of what was happening. I picked up my phone, texted Ashley, "Take care of him." She replied immediately, "Always. You okay?" I didn't answer. The comm channel crackled. "Mission control. This is Artemis 4 crew. Pre-launch checklist complete. All systems nominal. We are go for launch." Lauren's voice. Professional, steady. No indication that 3 weeks ago she'd sobbed on the phone about what we'd done to Brandon. Compartmentalization. Her superpower. Copy that. Artemis 4, the launch director responded. Stand by for final polling. The polling began. Each station reporting status. Life support, go. Navigation, go. Communications, go. Propulsion, go. It came to me. Mission control lead. I looked at the screens. Every parameter perfect. Every system ready. The launch window open. No technical reason to abort. Only a personal one. I thought about Brandon in the viewing area. About Melissa on the ISS, probably watching this launch on a monitor, seeing history repeat. About Lauren in that capsule, strapped in, heart probably racing, finally achieving what she'd sacrificed everything for. About me, finger hovering over the authorization button. I could abort. Claim a parameter anomaly, scrub the launch, buy time. For what? To have the same conversation again tomorrow, next week, next year? You can't abort someone else's dream indefinitely. Mission control lead is go, I said. All stations are go. Artemis 4, you are clear for launch. T-minus 10 seconds. 10. I thought about the first time I told Lauren, of course, when she wanted space. 9. About Melissa leaving 8 years ago. Brandon watching from these same viewing stands. 8. About every time I'd said not now when Lauren tried to tell me her dreams. 7. About the 2 envelopes on our kitchen island, the choice that wasn't really a choice. 6. About Brandon's essay. Someone should stay on Earth to remember. 5. About Melissa's words. You're choosing pride over presence. 4. About Dr. Foster. You're giving her what she wants in a way that ensures she'll never forgive you. 3. About my own voice on that therapy recording. We need to prioritize stability. 2. About how love and presence aren't the same thing. 1. I pressed the button. Ignition. The rocket roared. On every screen, flames erupted, smoke billowed. The capsule began its climb. Through the window, I saw Brandon stand up, Ashley's hand on his shoulder, watching his second mother ride fire into the sky. The comm crackled. Artemis 4, you are go for orbital insertion. Lauren's voice, copy, control, it's beautiful up here. Of course it was. I watched the telemetry, watched her ascend, watched the numbers climb, altitude, velocity, trajectory, everything nominal, everything perfect, everything exactly as planned. She'd escape Earth's gravity in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. She'd already escaped mine. I took off my headset, walked to the window, watched the rocket become a dot, then a star, then a memory. Brandon was still standing, still watching, still small. I thought about what I should feel. Victory? I'd proven my point. Revenge? I'd made her pay for the betrayal. Justice? She'd chosen and now lived with the consequences. But all I felt was empty. Houston, we never had a problem. We were the problem, all of us. The engineers and astronauts and dreamers who were so good at calculating trajectories and so bad at staying grounded, so skilled at managing complex systems and so incompetent at simple presence. We didn't fail because we wanted different things. We failed because we couldn't figure out how to want the same thing at the same time. Because I made her small and she made herself invisible, and we both called it love, while our child learned that caring about someone means watching them leave. Bad at gravity, Melissa had said. She was right. 300 miles up, Lauren was orbiting Earth, achieving her dream, living her truth, becoming who she'd always meant to be. 40 feet away, Brandon was sitting back down, Ashley's arm around him, learning again that the people who love you still leave. And I was here, mission control, where I'd always been, managing everyone else's ascent while staying firmly planted on the ground. The hero of my own story, the villain of theirs. Both. Neither. Just a man who'd given his wife exactly what she'd asked for and discovered that being right doesn't make you any less alone. If you've ever been here, ever been the one left behind or the one doing the leaving, drop a comment. Tell me I'm not crazy. Or tell me I am. Tell me what you would have done differently, because I still don't know. The rocket's gone now. Lauren's in orbit. Brandon's going home with Ashley. And I'm writing this from the same mission control station where I approved her escape. Was I justified? Was she? Are we both wrong, both right? I don't have the answer. Maybe you do. All I know is this. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do is give someone exactly what they want. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you never should have made them choose. We weren't bad people. We were just bad at gravity. And our son paid the price for our inability to stay grounded. That's not a story. That's not a lesson. That's just the truth. Disclaimer: this is a fictionalized story created for entertainment purposes. It explores complex moral and emotional themes, but is not intended as advice or guidance for real-life relationships. If you're experiencing marital distress or family challenges, please seek support from qualified professionals. The characters and situations depicted are hypothetical and do not represent real individuals or events.